Hey Short Kings, are you tired of getting passed up on by soft 6s and 7s on Tinder because of the unrealistic height standards set by the modern online dating complex? Are you sick of being asked your real height in the DMs by a potential cutie only to be accosted and shamed as a chauvinist when you ask for her weight in return? In the words of DJ the Memphis Hustler, it's hard out here for a pimp. But because of science, you can now drop $75K for a high-risk surgery accompanied by a grueling recovery to turn your paltry 5'9" into a formidable 5'11 and a half, which you can probably fudge up to 6 feet in your Tinder profile. Did you hear that? That's the sound of your Tinder notifs going bananas when these hoes find out who the tall boy on Tinder is now. Better go stock up on those magnums, baby. Everybody has their insecurities. In the last couple of years, men's insecurity about their height has kind of taken a bit of a spotlight on the internet, accompanied by a bit of viciousness through like memes you see through like online dating apps where women seem to only be interested in men over a certain height. You know, people's physical characteristics are talked about all the time, especially in the dating game on these swipe left and right apps like Tinder. But unfortunately for men, you know, height is not something you can control. It is literally predetermined at birth, and you just grow into the height you were genetically predispositioned to have. How guys measure their height for their Tinder profile. I mean, it makes no sense to me in 2022. We're floating in the clouds of progressive acceptance of fucking everything in the world, and yet we're discriminating against men on dating apps because they don't reach a certain level of vertical appeasement for these women. I just don't understand it. You ready for a spicy take? Stop shaming men for their height. Women would be outraged if Tinder released weight verification, something far more important because height is never due to lack of personal care. If you get height verification, we want weight. Sincerely, verifiably 6'3" male. Here's another. How tall are you? 6'3". Why? Oh, good. Yeah? How heavy are you? What? What are the numerical digits that appear on the scale when you proceed to apply your weight into it? Why does that matter? Why did my height matter? Double standards. Now, I don't have a dog in this fight because the good Lord blessed me with 6'3" of absolute testosterone-juiced masculinity. I know it's dangerous to say this in the modern era, but I, for one, believe that people are allowed to have preferences in who they choose as a partner. Tall, short, blonde, brunette, skinny, thick, fat, rail thin, built, muscular. Everyone's got a preference for what they want, and you should be able to go after that if you want. It's totally up to you. I've seen takes on Twitter where people are called bigots or phobic about someone or something because they're not attracted to them based on a certain trait. That's fucking insanity, man. You can't really choose who you're attracted to. There's a physical piece to it. There's an emotional connection piece to it. There's so many layers to it that to simply say that you should be attracted to everyone and anything at all times is insane. So these women, rightly so, are allowed to maybe have a preference for taller guys. But let me tell you one thing that I know for sure. There are hundreds of thousands of short, disgusting, troll, ugly looking motherfuckers in this world that have found their soulmate. So it's just a matter of time. You just got to keep looking. There's someone out there for everyone. All that being said, I've apparently been living in a fucking nuclear silo for the past couple years because there's been a surgery recently that allows men to add like 2 to 3 inches to their height by absolutely obliterating their leg bones, installing some big beefy steel motherfucking device and stretching out their bones as they heal through this excruciating like 6-month recovery physical therapy process with probably a good chance that later on down the road you're gonna have trouble walking, your knees are gonna fail. It's just insane what people have done to try to get 2 to 3 inches of height. This meme on Reddit is actually what turned me on to this today, where I was like, wait, is this real? This leg lengthening surgery is available in more than a dozen countries, with some patients able to increase their height by up to 5 inches. I said 2 to 3. 5 might be like a stretch, I think maybe a fringe case, but look at this dude. Look at this little short bastard. Now he's up to 5'9", just like his duck. Top comment, it's also a highly dangerous procedure and puts a lot of strain on your knees. Now, to me, the length and cost of what they go through for a couple inches of arbitrary height, right? Just so they can feel better about their self-image in their own head is fucking insane to me. But this is a part of a much larger discussion of what's going on in the world. The amount of money people are spending on plastic surgery and body modifications, BBLs, like the hips, the tits, the lips, the fat, everything just to, whatever, go be liked on Instagram or to feel better about yourself. It's a much larger conversation. But for the sake of today, we're going to talk specifically about this lengthening surgery. And there's a piece from Inside Edition, actually, about 2 guys that did this limb lengthening surgery. And And I want to just go through this here real quick with you guys, just to try to get a look inside the mind of these gentlemen who thought it would be worth it.
He's a good-looking guy, but has always wanted to be taller. Now he's getting his chance thanks to groundbreaking limb lengthening surgery. And we were there as he was rolled into the OR.
This guy is making a special trip to Las Vegas with his wife. He's not hoping to strike it rich. He's here to get taller.
If I can be taller, I want to be taller.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty basic statement. If I could add 3 inches to my meat, I would want that too. But guess what? I'm not willing to spend $100 grand and risk like it not working for the rest of my life.
Wade is 5 feet 7 inches tall. He's come to orthopedic surgeon Dr. Kevin Parshad for a groundbreaking limb lengthening procedure.
It's insane,
After
dude,
we've
to
given
me.
you that additional height, you'd probably be sitting at very close to 5'11". Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 5'7" is like a pretty average height. Like, I don't know what the national averages are for men. Maybe it's like 5'9", 5'10" or something. But like, you see 100 people out in any given day that are like 5'7" to 5'11". To have this yearning inside of you that is desperate to go to these lengths to add just a couple inches of height because you're so insecure about it, it honestly makes me feel badly for people like this. And this goes for all different types of things that people do. All of these procedures we see on Instagram, the shit that these girls are doing to themselves and these dudes just to try and like fix this part of their brain that makes them think they're gonna feel better about themselves. It's just this black hole you chase for happiness that you can never quite seem to achieve.
A steel device into the upper bone on both legs.
Good Lord.
Use
So
the
that
remote control to slowly separate the bone. This is the remote control.
The remote control signals the device to pull the bones apart, 1 millimeter at a time.
I think that's pretty cool.
The body makes new bone to fill in the
yeah,
gap.
sounds
So I
fucking
push this
great.
button and then what happens?
Once you push the button, then that's when you start growing.
Awesome.
The cost? A whopping $75,000.
I've got another 7 years left on this planet, and I want to enjoy it to the full extent. And this is something since I've been 14 that I've always wanted to do.
You see, now it makes sense. 14, it's the age you go to high school, right? Dude showed up on his first day of high school, freshman year, got absolutely bodied into a dumpster, called a little short prick and made fun of, ridiculed. And from that day on, he's like, these motherfuckers, these bullies, I'm gonna show them one day. And fast forward like 15 years, this groundbreaking surgery to implant these femur lengtheners in your thighs. He's like, thank you, Jesus, finally my day has come. I'm gonna show up my bully's doorstep and be like, who's 5'7" now? I'm 5'11", bitch! I honestly hope he's happy. I'm sure this surgery is long ago taking place now, but he's probably walking with a cane already, if I had to guess.
$75,000 towards getting tall. I'm picking getting tall all the way.
The 32-year-old is also tired of wearing shoe implants. The procedure will add 3 inches to Ryan's height, a huge difference.
The fatal mistake that you made, Ryan, is you married a broad that was taller than you, bro. Come on. It's just simple math. If you're insecure about your height, find a girl that's shorter. There are so many of them in this world, and well, I shouldn't say that. It might not even be cheaper to get a divorce and find someone shorter, but 75 grand to smash your femurs up just so you can be a little bit taller than your wife? I hope you got some cash flow, man, because that's not a small chunk of change to commit.
I am super
He
excited.
seems like a
Doctor
nice guy, you
begins by
know,
taking
like, it just,
precise
like,
measurements
why?
of Ryan's leg. Next, he drills into the bone, then surgically breaks the bone.
Ah!
He creates a channel in the thigh bone for
God, dude, I hate the idea of like taking a hammer chisel to snap your femur in half. I'm weird about OR stuff.
implant.
So you can see it kind of going right down the center of the bone.
The implanted device is secured with screws that are drilled in above and below the break in the bone. He repeats the procedure on Ryan's other leg. Finally, the remote is tested to ensure the
Dude.
bone is separating.
That sounds
Success.
The
horrendous.
implant worked.
After 3 hours, Ryan is wheeled out of the OR. Dr. Parshad has good news.
So everything went very well.
Bend that knee.
Now, 3 months of grueling physical therapy.
I mean, your life just gets put on hold. You're talking about like the type of PT in line with what happens after like a terrible accident, right? I've heard, from what I understand, like breaking your femur is one of the worst bones you can break because it's the biggest bone in your body. And he's willingly breaking both of them and then continually stretching it as it heals and probably not going to be able to walk normal for months, right? The thing that strikes me about procedures like this, and this goes beyond just like leg lengthening, a lot of things that like the great lengths people go to fix their insecurities. It's like nobody outside of your own voice in your head actually gives a shit about your height. Like nobody that doesn't know you, I'm sure your wife's gonna love you regardless. Like nobody gives a shit that you are 5'7". Everyone is worrying about their own problems, and you're gonna go to this insane length in great cost just to try and fix that part of your brain that is hyper insecure when you could simply, I don't know, go to therapy, do something to try and like anything to work on being comfortable in your own skin. And again, there's a spectrum here. Like there are people that have terrible injuries and they get like disfigurements that they spend a lot of money and take tons of surgeries to try to fix because maybe it's much more cosmetic, glaringly obvious. Something like height though is just, oh man, no one cares about height. And if you're that insecure, all you gotta do is just excel at something else to make up for it. Have a fat bank account, have a huge schlong. Look at Danny DeVito, dude's like 4'11", looks like an actual bridge troll, funny as hell, rich as shit. The man could probably sleep with any chick that he wants to.
That's stiff.
Ryan's muscles need to be stretched as his bones grow.
It's hard work.
It was the most painful thing that I've ever gone through.
Oh, here's another one.
David Wilson of Los Angeles had the same procedure last year. He was 5'7".
That guy's clearly had
and
a
was
lot of
stretched
procedures.
2 inches to 5'9".
Imagine going through all that to go from 5'7" to 5'9". What type of brain disease do you have to think that's worth it? I honestly can't even tell someone that's 5'7" and 5'9" apart, because to be honest, when you're looking down from this high up, it's just impossible to tell.
As my legs got longer, I needed to extend my seat back further so I could have this adjustment room right here. It was kind of cool.
You know, when people ask me if it was worth it to spend $75,000 to break both my femurs and install some steel rods in there and have the hardest 4-month recovery of my life to be able to walk again, I wasn't sure at first until I sat down in my Honda Prius and I had to tickle that seat back another 1.5 inches to make room for my new long knees. This is what heaven feels like.
You're gonna get back to normal pretty darn quick with this type of device and this technology. It's amazing.
Just 24 hours after surgery, Ryan is taking his very first steps and feels he's on his way to walking tall.
When the doctor was bopping his leg with the hammer, I felt that. Top comment, bro. Me too. My actual leg started to quiver when I watched that. We can't diss this man. Everyone has insecurities and people either accept them or change them, and that's fine. I guess, man, I don't pretend to be inside this dude's head. If this really is gonna make his quality of life that much better because in his brain he is now taller and it makes him that much more confident, that's great. But that, like I said, it's a spectrum of like the lengths you are going to fix relatively arbitrary things. And I imagine that's different for everybody. So sure, I of course think that anyone can do whatever they want with their money, but certainly if you put that shit on the internet on Inside Edition, I'm gonna sit here in awe wondering why the fuck anyone in their right mind would smash both their femurs up to get a couple extra inches of height when they're not even that short to begin with. Lots of lettuce, I'm 5'7", lots of lettuce. I used to worry about my height, then I stopped caring. Can you imagine what that smells like to just stop caring? To just not fucking care about what people think of you? Easier said than done, I know, but the freedom is absolutely invigorating. I mean, it's not going to be long till we're going to be like sentient cyborgs anyways and just be like a floating head and maybe like a heart in lungs just encased in this adamantium cyborg body. So in hindsight, this surgery may look like child's play, but right now, as I'm learning about this just today, it was a little bit jarring for me, especially when you crack that fucking bone. But the good news is, gentlemen, if you're struggling to get those matches on Tinder, all you need is 75 grand and, you know, the free time to not have to walk for 5 to 6 months, and you can add 2 to 3 inches to your Tinder height. And Lord knows you'll be clapping cheeks in no time. Thanks for watching. If you could do me a favor and break both your femurs and then hoist yourself out of your chair and hip thrust that motherfucking like button on your wobbly ass spaghetti legs. I will see you in the next video. Deuces.